Hey friends, thanks for tuning in. My name is Alejandra Sophia and this is Star Power Alchemy YouTube, tuning into Chiron and Aries and the Chiron and Aries years. So we are wrapping up, and I'm tuning in from February 15th, 2019. Chiron and Aries. Who is Chiron, and what's the deal with this part planet, part comet? So Chiron is holos. Chiron is wholeness. Chiron is here. Chiron showed up in the human awareness field in 1977. I squirm a lot, as you see. I squirm a lot. I'm very Vata. For all you Ayurvedists out there, I am very, 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 very high, like 90% Vata. Chiron is the rainbow bridge. Chiron is your chakra system. Rainbows, full spectrum. Chiron is that in you and in the human evolutionary Earth apprentice program that we're all living in during these times, that when Chiron became known in the visual and awareness field of human beings, a bridge began to emerge. A bridge between the higher consciousness and Earth. So another way of saying it, a bridge between the fifth dimension and the third dimension. And the third dimension being physical reality, and the fifth dimension being a high frequency, high state of mind, a high state of being, and the rainbow bridge being the human body. So that is why the movements of Chiron are extremely important, and in these last years they've been linking up with Uranus, the the consciousness planet, and it's and another way of saying it, your higher self. So that's what time is really ending, is this notion of higher self, that it's above you, beyond you. Yeah, it is to some extent. It's your higher channels, it's your high level intelligentsia pouring down unto you, and it is that part of you that is shoulding on you and telling you. And so there's the high level should, and then there's the lower level, lower and de-energizing shoulds that keep you in guilt and shame and all those negative emotions, and the high level intelligentsia that is here, your own central intelligence agency that is like, boom, this is who I am, and free yourself. And that's literally watching you. It's the witness in you. It is that. And so there's Chiron and Uranus have been doing a dance together at an aspect of 30 degrees apart. That's the semi-sextile. And the semi-sextile is a way of describing it is it's the picking up stitch aspect. So yes, just like knitting and picking up stitch, and you can even YouTube picking up stitch to be like, what's picking up stitch? That's what I did. I was like, what's picking up stitch? and then I was like, oh right, yeah, it's a weaving. So just watch that. And that is a fractile, I'm seeing patterns, and that's the pattern. That is the semi-sextile pattern of weaving one thread into another, weaving one, tendril of yarn into another, and that's what's happening in the collective on a larger macro level in the times that we are living in. So they can be kind of hard to see because they are these larger movements happening. So we've got two very significant things happening in this next month, and one of them's coming up is Chiron moving into Aries. And so Chiron's been in Pisces, the child, going deep into the depths, ruled in my Atlantean astrology star Genesis system, is ruled by Pisces and is ruled by Pluto and the moon. So Pisces is ruled by Pluto and the moon. And then so we've been in that era of the last 8 years of going down deep and feeling inner child, all that, tapping in one way or another. Somehow it's been happening, and you also see it in the information, and all the information that's much more accessible out in the collective, individuals sharing, and the feelings really getting exposed of like, oh, they're important. You can feel your feelings. It's okay to be vulnerable. I'm mocking it, but I'm not mocking it. I'm just kind of trying to be funny. But I'm not mocking. I'm definitely not mocking it. It's part of my reality every day. You know, learning how to feel my feelings and reprogram myself that it's okay to feel my feelings and not to negate myself, and also give myself a time limit if I'm spending too much time in negative feelings, and that's still a learning process. So with Chiron moving into Aries, it's now Chiron stepping into Mercury and Mars energies, because in my system of astrology, Aries is ruled by Mercury, the communicator, and also Mars is right there. So it's this like you're gonna need to bust out into this really pure place where fear has been held back in the culture around individuals expressing their truth, and all the reasons why we're afraid of speaking the truth. And there's some very legitimate reasons, and so there is a certain overcoming the fear of death. That's one of the basic things in that first degree frequency of Aries. That's the fear. It's the fear of death. It's the fear of people, our loved ones dying. And that's another thing that has to get, in this me crossing the membrane of communication, linking up between myself and you, and speaking to that first degree frequency, that first degree of Aries, and the very real way in which we stay in our comfort zones because of one of the primal fears that is instilled in the human blueprint is the fear of death. And so just work with that. Where is it that you're afraid of rising because you're afraid to die, and all the different ways that we're afraid to die? It may not necessarily be a physical death, and it also very likely is the physical death. I'm afraid of dying, and the physical death, and then there's the afraid of dying to your reality and on all the identities you've been living, and dying to how other people have been viewing you, and dying to this person and the way you've been living, and dying to the infrastructure in which you've based your whole life upon. But I've invested 30 years of my life, and oh my God, this is, I can't, and so that is the fear to confront and rise to. And so we are moving into a time we need people to rise. We need individuals to rise. And so Chiron moving into Aries from 2019 until 2027, along with, guess who? Uranus, consciousness, advancing into the sign of Taurus. And so, I'll do a whole other video with that one, but that's where there's a whole reform happening. A reformation, okay? It is time to reform our lifestyles. It is time to go down, to scale down into basic philosophies that are down to earth and wholesome and connecting us to the earth and our daily rhythms. And so, but with Chiron and Aries, there's the essence of Chiron and Aries is fight the good fight. Fight the good fight. And number one fight that you are up against is your own comfort zones, your own identity, and how you're hooked into these identities. And so what you're identifying with. So as you become this full-on new earth warrior, and there are stages to it. You can't just say I'm a new earth warrior and you're not doing anything to really step into being a new earth warrior. And at some point I will outline what my beliefs are around the new earth warrior and the rise of the new earth warrior. And so we are in transition times, and we are in times of transition and stages of development. So in building towards this earth, this time of earth, this new earth time in which we do have new earth warriors, many people in living philosophies and coming together to be co-liberators of false realities that are not working and not working for this country, for this earth, because we need to move into ecological design. That's what's up, and that's also what lives deep in our ecological blueprint and gives you even more clues on the Piscean dream that we're dreaming. Guaranteed, Pisces is dreaming of ecological design, harmonious ecological design. and for your own personal life, and for your community, and for your, family life, community life, state life, whatever, these concentric circles of community that we all live in, because that's part of, that is the blueprint. It's the communing inside. And these concentric circles, weaving us all together. So, and what you have to do with it. And so again, Chiron rules Chiron moving into Aries rules, it's that declaration of independence, and you declaring your independence, you declaring it by the things that you're choosing, the things that you haven't been speaking up to in your life, the things that you've been holding back on, and the declaration of independence to learn new information and really capitalize on your spirit. And so again, we are moving. This is a time of individualism. We're moving into the age of individualism, and clearing out materialism. So look up the definition for materialism, and that has been heavily imploding our program, and the American dream script that's dying and melting and has to go as individuals rise up inside of their own individualized philosophies that guaranteed are connected to the earth, because we are not separate. That's also the delusion and distortion program that has been infiltrating us emotionally, is these ideologies, scientific ideologies. As science is changing right now, we're like fully clearing out any ideas that matter is separate from spirit. Bad idea. Really bad idea. And basing reality upon it. No, not okay. So that's dying. And then also learning about the true history of the earth and the true history of human beings, and continuing to leave it, because we are in the time of Aquarius, and this Aquarian new moon is leaning into the powerful voices that are out there, penetrating their gap between themselves and the world, and sharing all this valuable information about their high-level intelligence and discoveries, and the skills of that people are exhibiting and showing and sharing, that is truly taking us to a whole new level of information with ourselves and who we are. People like Joe Dispenza, people like David Goggins, and these powerful people who are offering bridges to our reality to help us infiltrate our own program. Chiron in Aries is you just stepping up, like fully stepping up to take your wholeness into full account, and to be completely held accountable for your individual choices. Oh boy, yeah. Oh, fun, huh? Yep. And so I'm sharing my reality as I am becoming more and more aware of it, as I'm upping my own self-responsibility and responding to my reality and making the adjustments to my reality. There we go. So Chiron and Aries. Please, if you're interested in a reading, you can send me an email at starpoweralchemy.com. Excuse me, let me change that, starpoweralchemy@gmail.com, and then you can check me out at my website. And then just keep tuning in. Please subscribe and make any comments. I love to hear from you and see how all this is landing for you. So much love, and stay tuned for I'm going to be tuning into Uranus moving into the sign of Taurus, and then eventually at some point I'm looking forward to making this a daily event and giving you daily astro insights to help you navigate what the heck is going on, and this new world that's truly being birthed this year. So much love to all of you, and thanks for tuning in.